With all the great content that's out on the YouTube space already, how can you land a client that's willing to pay what you offer? Well, I'm going to share my experience on how you can go about doing that. Hi there. I'm Tammy of Make It a Double, and this is a channel where I talk all things entrepreneurship and life over 50 with a twist. So today I'd love to talk to you a little bit about how do we line up the things that we do. I think you can learn all kinds of skills, and whether it's organization or it's you're a good writer or you're an effective communicator, you learn all of these skills in your everyday job. And I think there are some of us who are really good at these things, and we can actually monetize these things. Some things we are all really good at, and some things we will leave to others to do because they may be a little better and more efficient, more effective than we might be. But I'll talk to you a little bit about my own journey. In one of my previous videos, I actually shared with you that when I started out my career earlier in my 20s, I worked for a construction company, and the office was really, really lean. And so I did a lot of backfilling for other that were in and around the department. And so that included things like working in accounting. I worked in marketing. I also worked on the project side as well. I actually was tapped a number of times to backfill for different people if they went out on vacation or they left the company. So I had a tendency to jump from department to department, which at the time, I actually loved that because every day for me was very different. What it also allowed me to do is it allowed me to have a better and deeper and more thorough understanding of, number one, how the business is run, but then also I was able to pick up a number of skills, doing these different positions. And so one of the things that we need to think about as we begin to partake in this freelance journey is we've got all of these skills, but then which ones should we offer to a prospective client? I know that's where the real work began for me. And so I jotted down all of the different things that I love to do, because there's a number of things that I can do, but I don't necessarily want to do them. So I jotted down all the things that I absolutely love to do and all the things I cannot stand to do. I am not trying to sell that because I'm not going to be inspired by that. I'm not going to be motivated by that. So at this point in my life, I want to do things that bring me joy. And so those things that bring me joy are the things that I actually love to do. And so I would advise you to do the same. Take inventory of what you're currently doing, what you have the capability of doing, what you absolutely love to do. And when you get to this point in your career, those are the only things that you should be trying to package and sell to someone, right? Are the things that you love and the things that bring you joy. And so again, take the opportunity, jot all of those things down and really begin to get very crystal clear on the thing that you can offer. So for me, one of the things that I absolutely loved is back in my 20s, as I was stating before, I was taught the skill of proposal writing. And it was so different than anything that I had ever done because you are combining writing and communication and strategy and analytics, like all in one thing, right? Which is great. So I got to use my brain a lot and I absolutely love that. But there's also this creative side to it as well that I think is there's a skill and there's an art to proposal writing. And I think I've mastered both of those very, very well. And so in doing that, that was the one thing that, number one, I knew that I had a really good background in. I continued to invest in myself to learn the skill and the art of it. And so I did invest in classes and different training sessions and workshops. Proposal writing for me was the one great skill that I knew I could offer to the world. I knew that it was something that was in demand. I also knew that any business that is trying to grow their business exponentially, if you want a client to trust you with hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, proposal writing is one of the ways, or submitting a proposal is one of the ways to absolutely do that, to build trust and to build credibility with your prospect buyer. And that was the one skill that I actually offered to my clients. And that skill allowed me to continue to build my business. And so I say all that to say that when you're thinking about the things that you've learned in your career and how to align those with the things that you absolutely love, then you can offer whatever that thing is to a client that is actually looking for it, right? So people are buying things all the time. Like I buy things, you buy things, everybody's buying something, right? And so there is a buyer out there. So I think part of the challenge is you may have to find your unique buyer for that thing that you love to do. And it can be a challenge, but it can also be a lot of fun. And with the technology and information that we have at our fingertips now, like it is really, really easy to be able to align the right clients to what you want to offer. But there is the work that needs to be done in making sure that you identify the right customer. And throughout this journey, we're going to be talking about where is this client, right? We're going to talk about how to go and get really, really specific on the thing that you're offering and making sure that you are putting it in front of the client that is very much interested in the thing that you're offering. Making sure that the thing that you're offering also provides some level of transformation for the client, because that's going to be part of your story, right? As you sell your said service to the client. Now you might be asking me, Tammy, how can I get going? Enough with all the pep talks. Like I'm trying to get to this money like right now. And so what I'll do is I'll share my story. So strangely enough, like when I first started freelancing, believe it or not, I actually began officially selling my services to the world. I actually started on Craigslist, believe it or not, because at the time, was there a YouTube? There may not have been a YouTube. Online or internet marketing wasn't a thing. People were doing it, but it wasn't as popular. And so I was trying to figure out, okay, how do I get this service out to people so that they can know that number one, I exist, and number two, that I can offer such an awesome service. And so I actually created ads on Craigslist locally. And that's how I ended up getting my first client. And then from that first client, then I went on Career Builder. And for those of you who are my age, I don't even know if Career Builder is still out there. They might be. I don't know. I'm not sure. But even on Career Builder is where I got my second client, because they were looking for someone part-time. It was perfect for the work that I was doing because I had a full-time job. And, so I applied for a proposal writer position part-time, and that was absolutely perfect. And so that was actually my second client. And then from there, the momentum really began to build, because after that, those clients were actually referring me to other small business owners that I could continually help. Not only that, one of the other things that I did, and this might be a really good tip for those of us who have had somewhat long careers, your current employer. So I can tell you, in terms of my experience, 3 of my former employers have actually hired me as a 1099 consultant. And that was a perfect way to transition from the day-to-day 9-to-5 typical to a 1099 position. And it allowed me the flexibility and freedom to work when I wanted to and needed to, and then have some time off when I actually needed to. Now, granted, you don't get paid, but it did allow me the freedom and flexibility that I was so looking for. So that is another tip as well. Don't think that you just have to always be out here advertising your services. You can also talk to your employer, because now some employers are actually giving you the option. I know of a few people that has happened to, but they give you the option to either go as a 1099 or a W-2. So if you have healthcare, or you can be a part of your partner or your husband or your wife's healthcare, then maybe that's also another option for you as well, especially if you're known for doing great work. So that's another little great tip for you. All right. So I got a little homework for you. Down in the chat, I want you to give me one of your best skills, that zone of that zone of genius, that one best skill. And what I'm going to do is once you put it in the chat, you put it in the comments, I am going to reply and I'm going to give you 1 to 2 ideas on who your next client can potentially be or where you can find your next client. So again, go down in the chat, give me your one zone of G or your one zone of genius, and then I'm going to give you some ideas on where you can find your next client. I hope you've received a ton of value and insight from the video. I am still building out our vault, so please make sure that you check out the other videos. Also, like, comment, and subscribe. I would so appreciate it. And I believe that one life is still not enough. So why don't we just make it a double? See you next time. Bye.